There's energy, there's progress, and it would seem that things are looking up for Mother Lanka's economy. Buoyed perhaps by the cautiously optimistic statements by the IMF, the World Bank and the like, plus a healthy flow of excellent corporate results, the biz community is enjoying a certain sense of security. But how long will it last? Anushan Selvaraja explores.
Welcome to the Voice of Business. This week on the show with me, I have the Managing Director of the Nielsen Company, Shaheen Khadr, for his views into the latest Business Confidence Index. Now, Shaheen, the BCI shot up appreciably last month to 170 basis points and is now within striking distance of the all-time high of 178, which was more than 8 years ago. How would you explain this, and isn't the rather overcast global environment affecting sentiment?
I think what's happened is, first of all, we've had a good fourth quarter GDP results out, so there's optimism once companies, starts reading these numbers. Secondly, I think with the financial year numbers also coming out, companies seem to have had a good last 12 months, and optimism is again sort of reinforced, therefore going forward.
Where do you expect the index to head in the near and medium terms, and why? Are we right in guessing that the all-time high may well be surpassed in the short term, but that there are downside risks on the horizon?
There are certain challenges, I believe, in the short term. Inflation really being the primary one. And we are now approaching almost double-digit levels of inflation. And I guess the central bank would have to intervene and sort of curtail inflation by increasing interest rates, which would, I guess, in the short term, impact the cost of borrowing and therefore profit forecasts, and optimism might generally not go up therefore. But in the long term, if no action is taken, there could well be far more adverse outcomes. And if timely action is taken, I believe, maybe not immediately, but down the line, maybe within a year, we would see numbers going up.
Shaheen, you say in LMD that, quote, concerns over flood and inflation impacting economic growth have been dispelled, with the economy growing at a significant 8% in 2010, unquote. On the other hand, there are fears that inflation may take off later in the year for many reasons. Where does one strike a balance?
I think strong medicine needs to be administered by the central bank in the interests of keeping our country competitive in the world markets. One of the reasons why the garment sector, for example, has done well in the last few months is that Chinese products have become more expensive. This is purely due to increased appreciation of the Chinese currency and secondly, increase in domestic demand in Chinese markets. So therefore, we don't want Sri Lanka to go the same way, where wage inflation will take off if inflation is not brought under control, which would thereby affect the economy overall. So I think in the short term, action would need to be taken, but it's a medicine that the entire sort of country would have to swallow in the interest of long-term sustainable growth.
Shaheen, as for what the BCI sample population cites as burning issues, there is suddenly a call for less political interference and for measures to be taken to put a stop to bribery and corruption. How significant are these findings?
Sri Lanka has a very high level of government involvement in many day-to-day activities. If one takes even the so-called commercial sectors in areas like banking and retailing, there's a fairly large government involvement. And therefore, when consumers come up with various inefficiencies, or the business sector comes up with certain constraints, they probably attribute this to corruption and bribery, unable to get things done. The way forward, I guess, would be to improve private sector roles, to enhance private sector participation in some of these activities where government, I believe, should not really be there in a big way. Secondly, I think the pension scheme that has been enacted as per the budget has created a lot of dissonance in the private sector, and especially among the business community. And once certain issues are clarified and resolved, I guess these concerns would go down.
That was Shaheen Khadr speaking to Benchmark's Anushan Selvaraja. Thank you for watching our show. We'll see you again next week at the same time.